That's what my sister always called me. Every family dinner, every holiday toast. She let it roll off her tongue like poison wrapped in sugar. At first, it sounded like teasing. You'll change your mind one day, Liz. You'll want kids. You'll see. But as her world filled with laughter and mine stayed deliberately quiet, her jokes got sharper. You wouldn't understand, Liz. You don't have a maternal bone in your body. Everyone laughed, even Mom. I learned to smile, raise my glass, and let their words wash over me like it didn't sting. But every time she called me heartless, something inside me moved. It wasn't pain or jealousy, it was calculation. The last time I saw her before everything changed was at her baby shower. Pink ribbons, cupcake rattles, and it's a girl. Balloons filled the room. I stood by the punch bowl, invisible, while she soaked up the glow of motherhood and pity. Don't you want to hold her, Liz? She asked, handing me a framed ultrasound like it was sacred. I shook my head. I'm fine, she laughed, loud, cruel. She's fine, everyone. She's always fine. The heartless spinster doesn't need anyone. Laughter rippled around the room. That's when I decided she'd never mock me again. 2 months later, the first crack showed. She called me sobbing. Daniel. Her husband had been distant. Late nights at work, locked phone, half-truths. I told her to breathe. That stress wasn't good for the baby. But deep down, I already knew. Daniel and I had a past. Before he was her husband, he was almost mine. We'd been engaged once, briefly, until she accidentally showed up at one of his business dinners. I was busy climbing the career ladder, distracted, and she moved in fast. 6 months later, they were married. So when she called me crying, part of me wanted to say, now you know how it feels. But I didn't. I listened, comforted her, and told her I'd look into it. It didn't take much digging. Daniel had been careful, but not careful enough. A new bank account, hotel receipts, and a name that kept showing up, Mara. I met Mara 3 days later. Young, confident, ambitious, just like Sarah used to be. We met for coffee. I told her I was Daniel's sister-in-law, and that my sister was expecting. I watched her face fall as the truth sank in. She had no idea. By the time we said goodbye, she knew everything she needed to end things with him. I didn't lie. I just let the truth breathe. But Sarah, she was loyal to a fault. When the affair came out, she forgave him. Said the stress of the baby had driven him away. I almost pitied her, because by then, I'd already started phase 2. Daniel's company was about to go public, and I owned a few quiet shares. Just enough to whisper in the right ears. When the board learned about his personal misconduct, they quietly removed him to avoid scandal. No headlines, no drama, just silence. By the time the baby was born, he was broke. Sarah had no idea it was me who'd started the fire. Then came the second baby shower a year later at her house. She recovered, new car, new job, new smugness. I'd been patient. Too patient. She stood there, holding her daughter on her hip and said, to family, the people who stand by us through everything, even when they're too busy being independent to start one of their own. The laughter came again. Familiar and cutting. That's when I stood up, glass in hand, calm and steady. To family, I said, and to secrets, the kind that keep us together or tear us apart. The room froze. I looked straight at Daniel. By the way, Sarah, I said, you should know that when you were 6 months pregnant, your husband was still seeing Mara at the Fairmont. Room 308, the color drained from her face. Daniel opened his mouth, but nothing came out. I didn't stop there. And that job he lost? That wasn't bad luck. That was me. I made sure everyone knew exactly who he really was. You could hear the clock ticking. Gasps filled the room. Sarah's voice cracked. Why? Why would you do that? I smiled. Because you called me heartless. I set my glass down, kissed my niece on the forehead, and walked out. It's been 2 years. Sarah moved back in with Mom. Daniel disappeared out of state. Sometimes I wonder if I went too far. But then I remember her voice, the laughter, the word spinster echoing around that dinner table. I built my life on control. She built hers on cruelty. In the end, I only gave her what she taught me.